Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Rock Sound. It's the latest of our video calls. We are chatting to everybody from the comfort of our own homes at the minute, and I'm delighted to say from Employed to Serve, Justine is on the line. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Nice to see you. And I'll start this off. We've kind of started them off in very similar ways, which is, of course, say, I hope you, bandmates, loved ones, all keeping safe, all keeping well during the madness of the last 18 months or so. And I guess before we kind of get into the record, last time we caught up very briefly was at that Download Pilot event. Now that the set's kind of been played and you had that kind of actual first live experience again, how was that for you? And how has it been kind of starting to get back into rehearsals and returning to the live stage, I guess, a little bit?
Oh, it's just been amazing. I mean, like I knew like I missed it during the pandemic, but it wasn't until we actually played Download Pilot I realized how much I missed it. And yeah, it was just like a euphoric day really. So yeah, I'm very excited to kind of go and do our first proper tour, whatever that looks like with COVID restrictions, but just kind of got to roll with it at this point, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you guys been doing much in the terms of kind of getting back in the rehearsal room a little bit? I know you'd obviously done little bits here and there during the pandemic, but yeah, has rehearsals kind of hit again yet properly?
Yeah, like we're pretty much back to normal schedule. Like we literally just did one this weekend, and we're sort of starting to like get everything ready for Gojira in January, which is going to be really fun. So yeah, we're just sort of like working out like our new set list and practicing our new album songs to make sure we're getting them nice and ready for the tour really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's mention the record. You know, it's kind of just dropped at the time of recording. Congratulations. It's out there in the world. It's called Conquering. And the place I want to start, you know, it's a cliched question, but I am genuinely always fascinated by album titles. I really am. I'm really, really intrigued to see why people pick these phrases that they think sums up an era, sums up an album. Obviously, there's a title track on there anyway. The closer of the record is Conquering. What was it about that phrase that made you think, yep, this is what's going to sum up this new album for Employed Sir?
We wanted to go for like a one word title just because all of our previous records are like Greater Than You Remember, One for the Dying Sun, Return Formation. So it's quite easy to sort of like kind of then molding into one. So with this fourth record, we wanted it to be like, you know, its own sort of thing and like very different from our previous stuff. And then in terms of like the word conquering, it's essentially like the conquering of the ego and sort of conquering the self and sort of kind of getting over your own sort of like struggles and kind of rising up to, you know, adversity and things like that really.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of theme that threads through it. And I guess musically as well, you know, again, when we caught up at Download, one of the quotes that was doing the rounds from that chat, how were you guys? I remember you saying it was definitely, I think the exact quote was definitely our most metal sounding record to date. I think that definitely bears true having listened to it now. But I guess my question is, what kind of prompted that? What was it that made you guys think, you know what, we want to push down this specific avenue of what we do and really kind of push this style of our music?
Just mainly because we've kind of done our previous sounds over like especially the last two records, like the sort of more hardcore kind of metalcore crossover thing we have kind of going on. And we just wanted to sort of really push ourselves this record. We have like a whole new lineup apart from myself and Sammy, and we kind of wanted to sort of use that. Like we always wanted to go this direction anyway, but we kind of used that sort of like the new members as a sort of like a almost another reboot of it, if you know what I mean. And yeah, and I feel like we've achieved that, and we wanted to just make our sort of, I guess, most extreme record today in terms of like the heaviness. I mean, it's weirdly heavier but more accessible in a way.
Yeah, I'd back that for sure. And it definitely still feels like you guys, which is kind of interesting because, you know, you mentioned that, of course, have been some lineup changes. I guess it's inevitable it's going to feel in a way a bit like a new band to you. That maybe that sounds obvious, but it's interesting how it still keeps all those elements that we come to know from you guys while also pushing down these kind of new avenues as well. Did it feel like a new band getting in the studio? Did it take I guess a little bit of a while to adjust to this new kind of setup you guys have got?
It definitely felt new, but it wasn't because we had the like I sort of feel bad saying it's not like the luxury as if like, you know, it's obviously the pandemic's an awful thing to happen, but we had like for once the luxury of time. So
time.
It was actually quite nice because we had the whole of almost last year to kind of get to know our new members properly. We kind of knew them already from sort of like bands and touring with them in the past, and just because like our scene is so small, like it's hard not to cross paths with almost everyone in it. So yeah, like it was kind of nice. We actually just got to hang out. So like we practiced our bassist house, and we were actually able to have things like barbecues, and rather than like cramming in everything and like bonding on tour, we were actually able to kind of like hang out and just practice our own pace. And yeah, it was really nice. So in a way, we kind of felt like we were already a band I guess we kind of were for over a year before we even recorded. So yeah, like it is new in that sense, but at the same time, it felt kind of natural to go into the studio together this time.
Yeah, that's good. It's nice when it kind of get to have that breathing space, I suppose, and actually kind of make it fit together in those kind of situations. It works really nicely. It's interesting as well, spoken to loads of bands, obviously, who've been kind of writing and working on music when they've been at home like this. And it's funny seeing how that extended time at home does end up feeding into a record, because again, I don't think I've heard anyone do a straight up pandemic record, whatever that may sound like, but it's understandable that kind of various aspects of what we've been dealing with do fall into it. And I guess the one that leapt out to me was on Universal Chokehold. You're talking, I know you've said it elsewhere, talking about a lot of the struggles of social media and everything, and how that kind of rules our lives in a lot of big ways. That's been more prevalent than ever for everyone over the last year, hasn't it? Like, did you find little moments like that were kind of influencing your writing at all there?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I've always had such a love-hate relationship with social media. I think it is a tool basically. So I guess it's how you use it and how and the kind of state of mind you're in whilst using it. I think that kind of completely changes how you're going to experience it. So yeah, I mean, I guess like a lot of the negative and positive like aspects of the records were fueled by social media, I think. Just because it was almost like a kind of, I don't know, a snapshot of everyone's sort of mental state during the pandemic, for better or for worse. So yeah, like, I mean, and there were like stages where I had to like just delete off my phone for a week because I was just like doom scrolling, and it just wasn't healthy. I think everyone was sort of the same. Like all my friends I was talking to, it's kind of like similar sort of deal. And obviously as a band as well, like, and you've spent like years and years building it up, and then all of a sudden for like 18 months, like you're literally been told, no, you have to stay home. So, and obviously everyone else who's like in the creative industry and has to like go to to enable to do their job, they have to go to work. So yeah, I think it was quite a toxic place at some points, but for the most part, it was actually kind of nice. There's a lot of charitable things happening, and things like fundraisers for like my favorite venues like the Black Heart in Camden, and like, yeah, so there's a lot of good things with the band, I think.
Yeah, and we mentioned before in previous chats about, you guys start up a Patreon and all that kind of thing. And it was nice seeing you guys find ways, like so many bands have had to do, of communicating directly with your fans and helping keep that community alive when you weren't able to get out in front of them and play shows. I guess it's also kind of a unique situation where you're putting out a record and yeah, you're starting to play a couple of shows here and there, but it's not quite out there yet. What was it like actually putting out a record and I guess getting to see reactions from an online point of view, which have been overwhelmingly positive as well, we should say?
Yeah, it was definitely different. I liked the fact at least we kind of met up as a band and celebrated on Friday just gone.
That's nice.
As much as like I am really stoked with all the reactions online and stuff, that's like, it's only half of it. Do you know what I mean? I love the sort of the being there in person and doing the release shows, and sort of like that's like why I sort of do this, is for the live show. I love playing live. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Like I'll always know this album as that album that was released during a very odd time. But yeah, no, it was really nice. Like I'm really grateful we were able to release it. I mean, obviously we've got things like vinyl delays, but I mean, that's just the whole world at the minute. It's just how it is. So yeah, no, it was really nice. And we had a dinner date. We had a curry and some beers, so that was quite nice.
What more do you need? What more do you need? That's the greatest. Yeah. It's nice to be able to actually get together and celebrate these milestones, as you well should. And I guess in terms of the live stage, we mentioned it already, Gojira tour, that's going to be absolutely huge. I mean, such an anticipated live tour that anyway, but you must be absolutely delighted to be able to hop on board and play those kind of big rooms as well. Big rooms on that tour, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. Like I've loved that band for like over a decade at this point. Alien Weaponry are also awesome, and funnily enough, they released their album the same day as us, so it's quite a fun coincidence. So yeah, no, it's gonna be like a really good tour. I'm super stoked, and it's like, I know, like not in a bleak way, but it's really nice to have something to look forward to and work towards, and like have those dates in my calendar. I'm like, right, I need to like get in shape so I can actually do my vocals. I need to rehearse, and it kind of gives me sort of something to work towards, because like I think apart, like once this album was recorded and like our videos were like filmed, I kind of was a bit like, oh, what do I do now? And like, yes, so it's kind of nice to have that sort of almost carrot dangling for once again.
Yeah, the goals, the things you got to tick off. You know it's coming. You know it's going to build towards. So it's going to be a really, really exciting one. That is such a stacked lineup, like you say. It's going to be very, very cool to see. I'll leave you with this, really, which is the question I've been asking everybody, because it seems inevitable that when people have been working on music in lockdown, and like we say, touring's not quite back yet, feels like people have already been thinking about what might come next. Has that been the case with you guys as well? Have you already been thinking, even though this record's only just dropped, are you thinking about what might come after this yet?
Yeah, I think we might think about like start writing again, maybe at some point after Christmas, maybe like, yeah, because at the moment we just sort of like put so much effort into writing it, and like, I mean, we really enjoy like recording and writing records, but for us, like I think collectively our main favorite thing to do is like kind of play live. So I think once we've got a few more shows under our belt and like the enthusiasm and sort of like the kind of like raring to go kind of like comes back, sort of like, I think we'll write something quite soon. But yeah, for now I think we're just kind of concentrating on like just sorting out little boring bits like our live rig and things like that, really just like admin stuff.
I bet even the admin stuff is fascinating to you now because you guys have missed it so much, right? Even the admin stuff is less boring than before, right?
Oh yeah, and I love, like, I mean, I always like, it was fun. I'm fine with practicing and like I love hanging with the band, but I mean, obviously you're doing the same set over and over again. So I'm even enjoying practices a lot anyway. I'm like, I'm really excited. I'm like, oh, I get to do it. So yeah, like literally even ordering like boring bits like cables and stuff is exciting for them to come in the post.
Because you know they're going to get used. That's why they're finally going to get used again. It makes sense. Yeah, out of those, that's what I'll leave you with actually. Out of those new songs, what is sounding the best in the rehearsal room at the minute? There's got to be moments on that record that you can't wait to get in front of a crowd, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what's a good one. Oh, World End is quite a chunky boy. I think that's going to be quite fun. Especially like in the bigger rooms. I think, yeah, that and like Sun Up sounding pretty good. They're starting to finally like click. They're not like less scary now. So that's a good sign, because we've still got a few months to go for the tour, because I want everything to be on muscle memory by that tour, because it's going to be, yeah, from nothing to the giant rooms. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, suddenly going 0 to 60, but in the best possible way. It's going to be exciting to see it, man. Well, I mean, it's really nice to chat to you. Congrats on the record, and we look forward to seeing you out here on those live stages. Best of luck to all the guys as well in the meantime, and yeah, we'll just see you out there on the road very soon.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, good to see you. Justine, everybody.